We are very happy to have a webinar today. The content or the persons you pay to get the words that
on YouTube. So, and our welcome to be ready. 12 minutes left. 12 seconds, sorry.
Recording in progress.
Welcome. Over to you, our welcome team. Take it over.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Marie Pendy. I am logging in from the great state of Virginia, USA. I'm very glad to have you all here. We've gone around and shout out to each individual. Shout out to everybody. If I didn't call you, Bridget and Kamsi, shout out to you. Welcome to an amazing webinar. You are in for a great treat. And my name is Marie Pendy, and I'll pass it on to Alfred. If Alfred is around, please carry on, please. Alfred may have stepped away. I will pass it on to our host.
Thank you, Sister Marie. Thank you, Brother Alfred. Let me tell you, make us so welcome. Sometimes we rush in here, we're all rushing, maybe from church, maybe from different things, and we just need that welcome to settle us. And you do it in such a beautiful way that we feel settled. But before we start, we cannot start without reminding us what the goal of this company is. A company that says everybody's in it to win it. It doesn't matter how big you are, how old you are, how young you are, what's your gender, does not matter. Your technical expertise, it does not matter. As long as you're in and you are engaged, you're going to win. So for us to do that, let's remind ourselves of our motto by playing a song gifted to us by our own very sister, Lerato Shadare, and our brother, King Dr. Derek, has really embedded some upgrades, some what is happening or what has happened in Unpassive in it. So over to you, Dr. D.
Your next stop is on Passive.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Yes. Our next stop is on Passive, and we're standing clear of the closing door. We are so in it to win it, and we're so excited, right? Financial mindset. If we don't have the right financial mindset, when the floodgate open, we'll be in a mess. So hopefully we'll learn something from this today. And before we start, we always like to at least get our mind ready. My brother, Dr. Derek, will say, Mr. Ash Mufareh has promised us a physical. We have to work on the mind. So today, my sister for the not so sunny island, no, not an island. My sister, where 40 degrees is okay for them, has really taken the pleasure to rattle our mind today. So, not other than the lady that was multiple had, as Sister Marie introduced her. She's very diligent. She's somebody that is on time. I've learned a lot from her when it comes to timekeeping. She respects people's time. If she says I'm being here at 1, she'll be there at 1. Trust me. Not 1 minute past 1. 1 o'clock she'll be there. So let's give it up to Sister Yvonne Finn to give us the mind.
Thank you, my sister. Yeah, so normally, as you said, I'm in the chat and that's my spot, but today I'm gonna jump out a little bit. So we're gonna do this very quickly because I know we are very eager to hear Dr. John. I know I am. So anyways, so I'd like to start with a quote or 2 quotes. It's today's about kindness. We're all ordinary, it says. We're all boring. We're all spectacular. We're all shy. We're all bold. We're all heroes. We're all helpless. We're all children of the Almighty Divine Creator. It depends on the day and how we see ourselves and how we choose to show up. That's a quote from Brad Meltzer. He also says, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. So be kind always. So greetings, everyone. We've all heard the saying, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. It's a familiar adage, but how often do we truly put it into practice? So today, I'd like us to talk a little bit about how profound that idea really is and take it to even a concept that goes a bit further. It is encapsulated in this powerful quote that says, everyone that you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Basically, don't dump on them, be kind always. Just think about that for a moment. Every single person that you encounter, from the cashier at the grocery store to your closest friend, from the CEO of a company to the person sitting next to you on the bus, is carrying their own burdens, facing their own challenges, and navigating their own struggles. We see the surface, the outward presentation, but we rarely see the depths of what lies beneath. Perhaps that person who seems short-tempered is dealing with a sick family member. Maybe the colleague who appears distracted is struggling with a personal crisis. Or perhaps the stranger who offers a kind smile is quietly battling their own inner demons. We simply don't know. The reality should fundamentally shift our perspective. It should make us pause before we judge, before we criticize, and before we jump to conclusions. Because the truth is, we are all fighting battles. Some are visible and some are hidden. Some are fleeting and others are lifelong. So what can we do? How can we live with this awareness at the forefront of our minds? The answer in essence is simple, yet incredibly powerful. Be kind always. Kindness isn't just about grand gestures. It's about the small things, a genuine smile, a listening ear, a word of encouragement, a moment of patience. It's about offering grace even when it's not deserved. It's about recognizing the shared humanity in all of us. Think about the impact you can have. Your kindness, even in its smallest form, can be the light in someone's dark day. It could be the moment of connection that makes a difference. It could be the seed of hope that helps someone keep going. People have killed themselves because they think no one cares. This isn't about being a doormat. It's not about condoning harmful behavior. It's about choosing compassion over judgment. It's about understanding that everyone, including ourselves, is on a journey, and that journey is often filled with unseen obstacles. Cultivating this and frustrations, but it's a practice, a discipline. It's about consciously choosing to respond with empathy rather than reactivity. It's about reminding ourselves that we too are fighting our own battles and we too deserve kindness. Let's challenge ourselves to see the world through this lens. Let's strive to meet each person we encounter with a spirit and understanding and compassion. And let's choose kindness always, because in a world that can often feel harsh and unforgiving, our kindness might be the very thing that makes the difference. It might just be the light that helps someone win their unseen battle. The acronym for this talk is HUMAN. It's hearing, it's understanding, it's being mindful, it's accepting, and it's nurturing. Remember, we're all in this together. Thank you, everyone, for letting me speak into your lives. And every once in a while, I appreciate it very much that you let me do that. And now, let us go on to listen to Dr. John. As I said, it was going to be a short word today. So here we go. Dr. John, you're on. Thank you, sister.
Wow.
I promised short and I delivered short. I hope you appreciate that.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet, absolutely. Well, I hope it was sweet. But kindness is universal, I hope, and it's timeless, it's evergreen.
Talking on mute, sorry.
That's okay, sister.
Wow, Sister Yvonne. Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my God. Short but impactful, as I said.
thank you.
Short but impactful.
Yeah.
If we remember that anybody we meet might have something they're dealing with,
Yes.
and we show compassion, we show love, that our compassion or love, that our kindness might be the light in their darkness.
It is true.
Sister Yvonne, your sharing just made me remember a story that a little child was leaving the school and packed all her bags.
Yes.
It was clearing all her locker. And one of her friends said, "Why are you taking all your books home today? Like, we don't have all that homework." And I think she said, "I'm not coming back," or something.
Mm-hmm.
What that friend said to her, or him, I can't remember the story correctly, but changed the person's life.
Yes.
Because he was clearing her locker to go earn it. Okay? That young
Yes.
person was clearing her locker to go earn it, but maybe because she was bullied or so.
Yeah.
And just that compassion that person shared with
Yes.
that's what she was facing.
Yeah.
It had to come to school the next day.
Yes.
So let's not assume. Please, let's always treat others as we want to be treated and
Yes. Yes.
show compassion. Anyway, I know you didn't come here to hear me yap. It was short and impactful, Sister Yvonne.
Thank
Wow,
you.
it was very impactful.
Thank
But
you.
I know we're all waiting to hear about our financial mindset. I see JW laughing there. Anyway, sorry, today, our A-list moderators are kind of in, but behind the scene, because everybody is handling something at one time of their life, whether here. So that's why you see my face. I'm going to try and wing it. But that's life, right? Take it as it is.
It certainly
So
is.
I have to introduce this next speaker. How do I do that? All right. Our financial mindset speaker today is somebody that is dear to me, somebody that I decided to do life with. He's one of a kind. You've seen him a lot. He's one of the leaders in this platform as well. He's somebody that likes to go out there and educate people. He joined he left engineering, left strategy, that he wants to go and do finances. And I was like, "Are you mad? Why are you moving? See here, just give me the paycheck." And he said, "Look, our people, our community really don't have the financial know-how. And because of that, we don't know how to generate wealth. If I go there through my share and make money, fine. If not, if I have changed 1/10 of our community to understand what it means to generate wealth, to understand different aspects for finances, not just the traditional way that we never taught in school. And we came here and we're just doing it. I remember when I moved to the US from England, and one of the ladies said, "Oh, are you going to pay taxes?" I'm like, "What do you mean they're cutting straight from your paycheck?" But I really did not understand what it meant. Not that I'm not paying my taxes, people. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that there's a smarter way to pay taxes. And that's why Warren Buffett can say that I pay less tax than my secretary, even though I'm making billions. We all know that story. So he went there with that passion to go out there and educate and hopefully get our mindset different from what we're going to do. So I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to pass it over to Dr. John Ajongwen. Over to you.
Oh my God. At some point, I wasn't sure who we're talking about. But thanks, dear. Good afternoon, good evening. I hope that you all having a blessed time. Sister Yvonne, you just made us human. Thank you. Because, when we have all these struggles, when we have all these obstacles, we can blame the stars, we can blame life, we can blame everybody. But at the end of the day, the short and sweet mindset that you gave today was so powerful. Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
So for today, I'm going to pack a lot of things in, and you see it says part 1, and it's actually part 1 and part 2 combined. Why? Because I had actually done this part 1 verbatim with our sister platform in Singapore a couple of weeks ago, and I promised to do a part 2 at some point. But now I just thought, well, for the dream team, let's have the double dose of parts 1 and 2. So I'm gonna go through part 1, and then the part 2 is really what I call a checklist, and you understand why. For those of us who are here in the United States, this is tax season. So if you were like, if you are a business person, which all of us here are, then some of those items would be very, very useful for you to think while you're going into your taxes. Or if you're not yet a functioning as a business person, then those will also come useful at some point. Why do I say that? Because we've seen this over and over, and Dr. Derek has always been hammering this to us about the way that we see things, talk about the cash flow quadrants from Rich Dad. I would say 90% of us, if not more, who are in this platform, we have actually come in as really what I'll call with the employee mindset. A few of us are self-employed. And what Impassive is really doing is trying to move us from this left side where we're either employees or self-employed over to the right side where we become business owners. And hopefully, as we start to develop or to generate cash from those businesses, we can actually invest and protect it for future generations or for things that we like to do. So when you think about it, those of us who are employees, what we typically do is that we go out there, we have a job, you go there, you do your job, then there's this balancing game where you just want to do enough so that you are not fired by your bosses, and your bosses would pay you just enough so that you don't quit. And in most cases, we just play these balancing games. We show up sometimes and we practice presenteeism, and that's why you have a lot of people supervising to watch us. Or for some of us who tend to who are a bit more adventurous, we go and become self-employed. We create our own jobs because of the expertise we've developed over time. And in course of doing that, we actually own those jobs. If you get up in the morning and you decide you're not going to that job, nobody's going to scream at you, but your bills are going to remind you that you have to do something. Then when you move to the right side where we're talking about business owners, they tend to actually have a system or they have some process or some people that are working for them. And so the way that they think is different from the way that me and you think. They would offer employment to other people. And at the bottom, which is the investors, obviously, many of us do our investing with our emotions. You know, I keep telling people the story that whenever you have like, if you give like a little kid some money and say, I want you to go buy some stuff, they're going to just go and say, okay, ooh, Google, ooh, Apple. You know, they're going to look at all those um, sexy stocks out there that are like up there, and because everybody is what is actually trending for the day, that's where they'll go and invest in. That's probably not the approach we want to take when we go for our own investments. Now, we have talked about this either at on this platform or other platforms, how the the people that are in these quadrants, they generate their income. Basically, as an employee, you're using your time and your muscles or your brains to make some money. Same as for the self-employed. And statistics have shown that 95% of the population falls into this area. And the 5% has like the business owners who have these systems, or the investors who would literally invest so that they're living off the proceeds of their investment. So from a mindset point of view, those of us who are employees, as I said, we rely on somebody to hire us. We rely on the income is active. If you don't show up for work, you don't get paid. And we are trading our time for money. You have no control over your time, your income, or your future. And in most cases, you know, for you to even go higher in the organization, you're relying on somebody who's gonna decide whether they want to, whether you're good enough to be promoted, or they're just gonna be sorry for you and play a DI. But whatever, you have no control of where and how you go up. And then you got the self-employed, as I mentioned, they create their own jobs. They also have an active income, because if you don't show up, you don't get a contract, you don't go do that consulting, or you don't go help build that person's home, there's no money. And as a result, they again trade their time for money. And they, in most cases, you know, while they have that a bit more freedom, they struggle to maintain their income. And we move to the side where you've got the business owners. They think as business owners. They leverage a system of people to create passive income for them. And because of that, they typically have both time and financial freedom. And that's really what we should be aspiring. The first bullet I talk about, think as a business owner. And that's really where I want us to be focusing the the next part of our discussion. But before we jump on that, just remember that the fourth one, we're not talking of just going and doing some of the crazy stuff that many of us have done and lost a lot of money. You want to make sure your money is working for you. You want to literally create passive income that can allow you to achieve your dreams, both from financial point of view, from time point of view, and so on. So when we look at it, what Mr. Mufareh has tried to do is brought us who have typically been on the left-hand side of that quadrant, employees and self-employed, to journey both physically and through our mindsets including what Queen just shared with us this morning, so that we should start thinking as business people. And so for this particular presentation that I had promised our sister platform in Singapore, I told them that we're going to actually do it in 4 parts. And the 4 parts, we're going to just talk about some of the things that we just should consider when we're doing the planning. And then we talk about some of the things to consider when we're operating the business. I'm not talking about really going in and teaching people about running their business, but really focusing on how can you make the business more profitable by, especially during this tax season, don't not pay more than you need to pay. And then the last 2 parts, we'll touch on them in the future, which is really how you protect your business and yourself. And more importantly, if you go into that 4th quadrant of investing, how do you actually not just invest and lose money, but you create a legacy for both your business and yourself? So very quickly, there are different things that people consider when they're going for planning, obviously, to do a business. The first thing is you really need to think, what is it I want to do? You need to go out there and do some marketing research. You need to do some competitor analysis. You need to put a business plan together, which actually clearly defines what the purpose of your business is going to be, its long-term goals, and actually come up with some key performance metrics that will show you that you are actually going on track when you start running that business, as well as detailed financial projections, especially if you're going to look for funding for your business. Most of the time, there will be people who are lending monies to us will be asking you about your cash flow. They want to show your financial projections to make sure that you don't borrow money from them and then it crashes, obviously. Fortunately, for those of us who are in non-passive, most of this has been done. We didn't have to actually research on this business or the market share and all that stuff. We were literally brought into the business, or the business found us. However, we still need actually to create for ourselves a vision of what we would like to do for our business. You have to still think about it. Don't just sit in the dark and not really thinking, what is the purpose of me being here? Is it just for me to pay my bills? Is it just to get some extra income? Is it to really go uplift humanity, as we've been talking about? And what does it mean by uplifting humanity? What are your boundaries of uplifting that you need to take? So some of those things, I think many of us have talked about them, we have dreamed about them, but these are some of the things that go into our own individual business plans. For your business, you need to have some sort of...
Dr. John.
Yes.
Not to interrupt, I think you are on the presenter's view. I can see the presenter's view. So if you can adjust.
Okay. Thank you for that. Just move. I have shared.
It's where you display. You're displaying the other monitor.
Right. Let me just go back here and get my. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Now Zoom is hiding away now, so let me stop sharing, and then I share the right one again.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is the one on. Is that the full screen?
Perfect. Yep. Yes.
Now, so we're talking about when you're creating that business, you need to make sure that you got the right legal structure for your business. And I would strongly advise everybody to think about this particular part of creating that legal structure, because it has a lot of financial benefits. And I think I did throw a bullet there that the advantages of structuring, may help you. And some of those advantages of making sure you have your business structured appropriately, we'll share them in the part 2, which I'm going to talk about briefly, especially when it comes to taxes. And we'll touch again on part 3 when you talk about liability. So we need to think about those aspects. Is it a limited liability corporation or a corporation? Are you going to have it as a sole proprietorship? Is it going to be a partnership? All those structures are important, both from making sure that financially you're protected and also from any of these crazy lawsuits that we face when we're in business. And then we also talk about we need to think about how we're going to fund our business. Again, we're sitting in this particular business. We know the struggles that our CEOs gone through. We know the obstacles that we have faced. We haven't really had to put capital in the business, but you need to also be thinking about what is going to be your own working capital when the doors reopen. How are you going to handle your subscriptions? How are you going to get your traffic? All those things are items that we should be considering at the moment when we're thinking as business owners. Let's not just sit and wait, and then when they say, okay, it's ready to go, and then we start saying, oh no, what do I do here? Other things like location. You know, our business is online, but that said, you need to also consider where would your own business really be? Again, I'll touch on that when we get into the next part, because if you create for yourself a business or a home office, there are costs that are involved, and those costs also can actually help offset your taxes and make your business more profitable for you. And then, obviously, what's your marketing plan? We have witnessed how OnPassive marketed starting in 2020 at the soccer FIFA World Cup. We've seen how the train stations in Dubai. We've seen a lot of marketing that has been done to make sure that people start thinking about the company in a unique way. You know, for us, as far as we're concerned in this company, it's been done for us. But then once we open up and you have your own business, again, it's going to be your own business. Two of us may all have one account, and then you probably make more money than I do or whatever, because you may choose to actually market your business more extensively than I do. You may be one of these people that are very good at advertising on social media. You may have other channels that you have to advertise your business. You may be community groups or whatever. So you need to start thinking about what is going to be the marketing strategy for your business, because we're going to have a million online accounts, and how do you market yours? If you're not actually thinking about OnPassive, but thinking about any other business, all these ideas, you also need to just have them in the back of your mind. And then you have to think about, okay, how am I going to operate this business? Again, I'm not the discussion is not focused on the typical operational type of things like employees and timesheets and all those things that people do in the course of running their businesses, but more in course of what are we going to do from a financial point. Just hold on a minute here. 1 second. Let me do something. Okay, sorry about that. Let's proceed. And then you have to start thinking about who are some of the people that you need for your business. Even in our OnPassive business, if you think about it, we're not going to do everything by ourselves. You may need to actually get some people to help in that business. You may want to actually give yourself more time freedom, and there are certain things that you may want other people to do for you. So you have to think about those type of environments that you want to create for your business. Luckily, through these platforms, we actually creating a collaborative environment where we can actually work together to achieve some common goals. But then, what other resources would you need? Would you need somebody to take care of your lawn? Would you need somebody to take care of your home? Or if you have pets and you take care of them, would you want to actually give them to some other person to be taken care of because you're able to and you want some more time freedom for yourself. Just think about those things and you can plan for them. If you are doing a real business where you'll be employing other people, how do you make sure that the work environment is really encouraging and would want people to work with you? And then there is the issues of running through the business and saying, okay, like any business, there are risks. What are some of those risks that I may encounter and how am I going to mitigate them? Both operational risks, financial risks, and even external risks that we do not actually think about. Then you have to think about how do you protect your company or your business from any liabilities that may befall you or from any other unforeseen events through insurances and all that stuff. So that was really what we can talk about in part 3. I'm not going to talk on those today. Apart from just mention along the way that when you do some of those things, there are some that you can actually turn around and put those operating costs as business expenses, and they will reduce your taxes. Then there is the idea of scalability. How do you want your business to grow? How far do you want it to grow? And then at the end of the day, what type of resources and infrastructure that will you put in place to make sure that that business grows? And finally, we will need to be thinking about an exit plan for your business. Once you build this business and it's successful, what are you going to do at the end? You're just going to sell it and then enjoy the proceeds. You're going to shut it down because you've made a lot of money. Are you going to, do a public offering, let people buy stock and you float it in the stock market? Are you going to transfer it to the family? How? And are the family members really prepared to receive this? Because many of us are in this business and we know that our family members, they don't even want to hear us mention anything about it because they think it's a scam, they think it's something that's going to blow up in our faces or whatever. But at the end of the day, once you build the business and you're thinking about transferring it to your kids or to your loved ones who don't really have the means to be able to continue it, it may not be the best part. And so one of the things that we wanted to at some point to really talk about is this exit planning, legacy planning. And we have talked on some of the tools we can use for this, including trusts and all the other vehicles that are available. So really, I just wanted to rush through this part 1, which we presented, to say that when you're setting up a business, there are lots of these things that we need to think about. Where we find ourselves, we have been lucky that we're not actually expected to do this heavy lifting. It's being done for us. So we just need to consider those aspects that are going to be important for the part of the business that we run, and also whatever business venture that you want to embark on, make sure that you take all these things into consideration. So that brings us now to you are now the CEO or the owner of your business. So the question is, what are some of the key things that you should actually have in mind, have that mindset of, so that you can maximize your income? And today, again, I'm going to focus more on some minimization ideas. And I'm just going to go through a list of some 20 or 30 ideas, 20 to 30 ideas that as a business person, you can consider. The only thing that I want to make sure we understand is that as business people, we can actually pay 100% taxes on all the income that we make. If one, we do not keep proper business records, which is very important, or if you do not really understand some of the things that you can deduct. whether you are doing it as a limited liability company, you are self-employed that gets a 1099, you're doing it like a side gig, or even a sole proprietor. There are lots of business expenses out there that you can actually write off, and they are legally reduce your taxes. So we're gonna go through some of those considerations. However, as we consider them, I want to just say that they would, one, make us better equipped to be able to launch and sustain any successful business. But I want to also highlight that these ideas, like most of the ideas I've been sharing with you, have been meant really to give you that information. And then when you sit down with either your financial professional or your tax professional, you can have, like a more informed discussion with them. Or if they turn around and just ask you something, it doesn't take you by surprise that they're asking for that question. So my hope is that you will be equipped with these tools. And then when it gets to a point that you meet with either your CPA or whoever as a business owner, now you're not only thinking as an employee. The other thing that I just want to mention here before we jump in is that this information is primarily based on the US tax laws. There are some of the items that are going to apply universally, but just bearing in mind that these are just ideas. When you talk to a particular financial professional, they will be able to tell you whether they apply to your own area or not. With that said, let's look at some of the things that we can do as business owners to actually reduce our taxes. If you think about it, especially here in the United States, you hear that business ownership is probably one of the best options for you to actually be involved in and end up not paying a lot of taxes, because at least we know that the tax code is loaded with a lot of legal deductions that businesses can actually take to minimize their bottom line. So what is the first one I want to just talk about here is this idea of a home office. The home office deduction is something that you can do. And I'm saying there that if you operate your business out of your home, you can actually deduct a proportion of your mortgage interest, a portion of your rents, utilities, property taxes, etc., as a business expense. However, that portion must be a dedicated space in your house that you have set aside for your business. So if I have like 100 square foot that I have in my house that I say is my home office, that should really be a home office with my desk and my chair, my computers, and my stuff there. I should not have a couch there that I'm gonna bring my friends and we sit down here and have a drink. I should not. It should not be my family room where we're watching TV, and then when somebody is not there, I sit on a side stool and do my business. The Inland Revenue Services will not actually consider that as a business space within your home. If you are in a home where maybe you have downsized or you're an empty nester, that could be an ideal situation because you can literally convert a full room in that house to a business place. And in so doing, as long as that room is used just for business, you can look at the square footage of that space and all these other expenses that you do, your mortgage interest, if you're renting, portions of your rent, utilities, and you can prorate those ones as business expenses. Actually, some people would even just go to the next step of saying, you as the owner of that property, you actually rent that space to your business and issue the like invoices and they pay you. But that's a big deduction that people should be considering, especially if you're doing your business from your home. Self-employment taxes. This is something which a lot of people will jump in the United States here, especially, and they will do a limited liability corporation, LLC. And then at the end of the day, they will end up actually paying a lot of the Social Security taxes. So as whenever we work for a company, the company pays the employer portion of the taxes, and we, the employees, we pay our own portion of the taxes. If you are working as either an LLC, a solo proprietor, or whatever, you end up paying both the employer and the employee portion of the Social Security taxes, which could add up to about over 15%. And so, yes, you can deduct those self-employment taxes if your CPA understands and knows that those are the taxes you pay, or you can avoid them altogether. Not altogether, but you can avoid the employer portion of them by restructuring your corporation. So you could actually have like a limited liability company, LLC, and at the end of the year, there is a form that if you actually complete that form with your CPA, it would allow you to elect to be taxed as an S Corp. And if you're taxed as an S Corp, then you will end up not paying those employer taxes. You only pay taxes on the income that you take, which is the employee tax. You need to talk with your CPA, make sure that you complete that form and elect to be taxed as an S Corp, even though you're still legally structured as an LLC. So the legal structure and the tax elections are two separate things that a lot of people are not aware of. And then everybody just goes and sets up an LLC because of the legal protections, but you end up paying a lot on your Social Security taxes for the US. This third item to me is a big one, which a lot of people miss out. And it's literally one of the best deductions, as it doesn't take money out of your pocket. So what are some of the things that we can depreciate? You can depreciate equipment, machineries, cars, those capital items that you use for your business, you can deduct them. And there's so many depreciation methods out there. What you typically need to do is, if you have like a computer, or you have like some video equipment that you bought for your business, talk with, or even a car, you talk with your CPA, and they will be able to figure out which method of depreciation would give you the best dollars in return. Then there is this other idea, which is called qualified business expenses. I'm not going to deal a lot on that, but they do exist, and there are certain business expenses, or QBIs, that you can qualify for. And if you do, you can literally exclude up to 20% of your earnings. But obviously, there is a financial threshold above which you're not qualified. And two, there are some professions that would typically be excluded from this QBI. In general, at a very high level, they exclude services that are offered by the owner. So if I'm doing consulting, or I'm doing some teaching, those type of services, typically I cannot take QBI on them. But if it was like a manufacturing operation or some other thing like that, they may qualify. But again, ask your CPA about any QBIs that you may qualify for. Vehicle tax deductions. This one, again, is almost like you're double dipping, but in reality, you can buy yourself a business car, which you're going to depreciate maybe over 10 years. But on a yearly basis, there are those running costs that you can take as vehicle tax deductions on top of the depreciation. So those can include things like repairs. They can include things like gas. They can include things like the gas mileages. All those costs, again, you cannot you have to look at which of them would best benefit you. In many cases, people would just say, okay, if you drive your car extensively for your business, the gas mileage might be the best option to just use, because you end up getting, I think the number now is 65 cents for every business mile that you do. And what I just want to mention here is, remember I told you record keeping is very important. You can get an app, you can get a little notebook, put it in your car. If I'm going to leave from here and drive my car to Canada to go see Queen Yvonne for some serious mindset type discussion, I can actually clock my miles when I leave my home, and then when I get there, as long as I went and conducted business, those miles, I'll write them in that notebook, or I can get an app that is going to log those for me. Make sure there is record keeping, because at the end of the day, you could be audited, and if you're audited and that information is not available, then it could be a problem. Business travel, on top of depreciation, I think this could be a big, big, big one. Why? Because all business travel, including your flights, your hotels, ground transportation, Uber costs, and other related for business related activities like conferences, seminars, those type of travels, you can completely deduct them. And the irony here is not irony. The point here is that if at the end of the day, you're actually traveling to that business with your family. So if you actually have a genuine business and you decide that the board meeting is going to be in sunny Florida, where Dr. Derek is, and I take everybody in my family from New Jersey, we travel out there. As long as we go out there and we conduct business, I could basically write up all the cost of the travel, to write up the cost of the hotel stay for the days that we conducted business, the meals for the days we conducted business, all the ground transportation to and from the airport. And maybe if we end up doing business for 3 days and I spend 1 week because I want to see my brother, I could end up just getting my hotel for 3 of those days covered, and my family would have had that trip there for the 4 days, and all that it cost us were those additional 4 days of hotel. The flights are covered for and everything else, because we actually did business. And again, record keeping. When you sit down there and you have that business, there should be some business minutes. There should be there are some resolutions that you made for the purpose of growing your business. It could be that we went out there and we had this training out there because we want to understand how to be better financial stewards for our business. That could actually count as a real business trip. So business travel is something that when we start going around the world and saying you're going to uplift humanity, that is absolutely part of your business. And then you can come back with all those costs to your accountant and see what they can do for your business. Business meals, again, there are some limitations as to what will be accepted, but if you are out there talking with a contact for business, if I decide to go out now and meet somebody in a restaurant and we talk about a life insurance policy, I could technically deduct that and I pay for it, I could technically deduct that from my business expense. But again, your CPA may tell you that 50% is allowed or whatever percentage is allowed. You just need to make sure you have a proper receipt when you used it and what was the purpose. As long as the purpose was in pursuit of business income, you can actually have that business meal with anyone who is part of the business. So think about it. If your business includes your children, includes your spouse, you can actually have a good Sunday afternoon business meeting in a restaurant somewhere. Then hiring kids and family members. I did mention that many of us go into business, our kids don't want to know what it is all about, but we know especially that when we hire them and we pay them, one, that cost of the salaries, you can deduct them from the business if the business is properly structured. And what you could do is that, because in the US we have what we call tax brackets, different tax brackets. Let's say I am at the top 37% tax bracket and I have my kids, because they're not going to make a lot of money, I can literally pay them a certain amount of money and let them go do their taxes. And if what you pay them is less than the standard deduction I think is just over 12 or 14,000 now. So I pay them $10,000. Then income 10,000, standard deduction 14,000, net tax 0. So in that case, the business has already written off that 12,000 or whatever that was paid to that family member. And because they did not actually qualify for any taxes, that was free income that went into the family. Even if you have some people that go above that standard deduction amount, you could still go and pay somebody maybe $20,000. And what will happen in that case is that when they go do their taxes, they take their standard deduction, they will be left with a tax liability much lower. And in other cases, their gross income may put them in a lower tax bracket. So hiring family members, as long as they are properly incorporated in your business, could be actually a good way to actually reduce the cost of your business, as well as other employees that you have, because the salaries, the cost of benefits, uniforms, safety equipment, any of those expenses that you give to the employees, the business properly structured can actually take those as employee expenses. And guess what? You are self-employed. You could actually include yourself, or you could set up these expenses to include those that go to you. So that's something, again, who will be the best person to talk to? You know that your CPA is there, but if you come out at the end of the day and you just give them some 2 or 3 receipts, they're going to do your taxes on those 2 or 3 receipts. But if you have a discussion with them, that's going to be useful. And then when we talk about things like this retirement plans or the 401ks and so on, when you make these contributions to employees, then the business can actually write them off as expenses. If you are, like the business owner, you can actually write off up to $69,000 if you create what they call a SEP IRA for yourself, you can actually create, on top of that, put away like $7,000 into a traditional IRA. Those two can literally bring you to almost $76,000 that you can put away. But remember, these are deductions that the business will take, and when you take them off as an employee, those come to you as before tax benefits, which you will pay tax on them later on. And if your business includes like your spouse or so, then they can also have their own account, and therefore the expense could potentially be double. Then, as we're talking about savings and contributions, retirement pension contributions, the business can write off those that they pay off, even to family members and kids. Again, the income can be to them, it's tax free now. When they start taking it later on, they can pay taxes. Or if they understand what to do with that money, they could typically use other vehicles like life insurances and so on to take advantage of that. And then the 401k is typically described as a defined contribution plan. Why? Because there is a defined amount that you can contribute. I talked about 69,000 for business owners, but when you work with corporations, that number can be about, I haven't looked at the 25 number, but it should be about $23,000, $24,000. There is also another one that not a lot of business people are aware of, and this one is a defined benefit plan. So they're looking at, you're trying to put, as you save a certain amount of benefits for your retirement. The top one about the 401k and the pension, you are putting a certain amount of contribution. And if the CPA understands and you guys can set up the defined benefits plan, depending on your age, this could literally be something in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you can put away a year, because the whole design of that defined benefits plan is that you contribute a certain amount of dollar by a certain age for your retirement. And I've come across people who have used this to buy, say, this huge amounts of money and put them like in a life insurance. And then at some point in time, they do an asset swap and swap like non-taxable assets to whatever the cash is in the life insurance. So, I mean, these are some advanced training stuff that a lot of the wealthy people do. And unfortunately, not a lot of CPAs are aware of this. So we just need to talk about it. And then we look at things like healthcare accounts. In the US here, we have the high deductible health saving accounts. These ones, when you contribute money to them as a business, that is tax free, that is tax deductible to the company. And the recipient can actually use those tax free dollars to pay for what they call qualified health expenses. Or in some cases of the high deductible plans, you can choose to just contribute the maximum amount there, just keep it growing. You don't lose it at the end of the year if you don't use it. And somewhere down the road, when you may need healthcare, that could become very handy. And as long as you use them for qualified healthcare expenses, which even include over-the-counter purchases, you will not pay any taxes on those funds. And then as a business, if you set up a health insurance plan for your employees, you can actually deduct the health insurance premiums. Whether the account is in your name, it's in the business name, or it's a spouse name, you can actually include members of your household on that plan, and the business could potentially reduce the cost of the premiums. And this includes things like long-term care. You can actually set up long-term care plans for people, for your employees, and those costs are deductible to the business. Again, we're thinking about the business here because we're business owners. And then you move to things like business insurance. Business insurance, you know, I would say that every insurance that you use for business-related activities can be deductible, whether it's liability insurance, whether it's errors and omissions. It could even be life insurance that the business takes out in the name of the owner, but owned by the business. Those are expenses that can be deducted. And if you remember when we used to talk about trusts, it did actually mention that, you know, some of those trusts could actually take out life insurance policies for the beneficiaries, and those could be structured in a way that they will be tax deductible. So there are quite a lot of these things that many of us are not aware of. Advertising. The government really loves for us to be able to go out there and build our business so that it grows and we provide employment to people and then pay more business taxes. So if you actually go out there and you're advertising for your business, whether you're having click for to pay on Facebook or whatever source, or pulling out ads in newspapers or your local um, uh, online papers, those costs you can actually put them as advertising expenses for your business, and they would completely be deductible. And then you have educational expenses for skills training, for seminars, for trade certifications, professional certifications, continuing education, annual registrations, fees with just two E's, and sometimes some books. Those educational expenses that you actually incur for employees, and you can be included in that, they can actually get deducted. So you need to make sure that when you go into some of these courses and so on, or if you're doing some of this continuous education, or you have some annual registrations for programs that are like online courses that you use for your employees to stay current, all of those fees, make sure they're properly accounted for and put in the right category, and there will be a business expense. Cell phone deductions. Wow, I just realized the deductions. Cell phone deductions are some other things that we should think about. Why? Because you may have your phone that you're using for yourself, and at the same time, you use that phone for business. The general thing is, maybe consider having a dedicated business phone. But if you must, then try and look at what percentage of the phone usage is business and what percentage is personal. So a salesperson may end up using their personal phone almost 80% of the time for business, because they're on the phone all the time talking to customers. So what are some of the things that you can deduct? They include the cost of the phone itself, the cost of any service plans you have, the cost of some apps that you subscribe as long as they are related to business, and all of those things, again, as long as you can show the documentation that these costs were the right costs, then you can actually deduct them. Talking about this and just going back to the vehicle deductions, in most cases, if you're doing like the standard mileage, you need to have your total mileage that you did for the year. You need to have itemized what you spent for your business. And then, because it's understood that you may get your car and you don't, it's the only car you use both for business and pleasure. So if for 5 days you're driving up and down for your business, and at the end of the day, you use that car to go to grocery shopping, to go to church services or your mosque or wherever, those ones are your pleasure trips. So you come back and say, okay, my car, I used 12,000 miles, 7,000 were business, 5,000 were pleasure. The 7,000 business are the ones that you have accounted for, and those are the ones that you deduct from your business. The depreciation, they'll probably not bother about that. And same thing for your cell phone. You look at what proportion you use for your business, and then the cell phone itself, you may choose to depreciate it, or you may choose to just write off the cost of the device the year you buy it, because those tend not to be that much. And so it's, again, your CPA may advise you on which of these strategies are the best for you to use. And then in addition to your home office, if you actually have an office or a location that you rent for your business, you know, whether it's a warehouse, it's an office space, any space or a storage space that you rent for your business, you can deduct those. So if somebody is doing landscaping and they have a storage place where they keep all their mowers, that's a legitimate business expense that, as long as they have the invoices that show that John's LLC landscaping is paying X for this storage, then you can deduct it from your business. Coming closer to the end, there is this one that, again, that applies mostly for the United States. You guys some people may have heard this. It's called the Augusta strategy. And basically it's saying, if I own my home, I can literally rent out my entire home to my business for a business purpose. And whatever the business pays would be tax deductible. Secondly, if I rent that home out to my business, say for a board meeting or for some strategy planning for our business, and they come in there and they pay me, that income is tax-free to me. And you see, I put in bold letters here that it's meant to be that day, it's not that. You cannot, you only apply if you do this for less than 14 days in a year. It's not meant for you to just start saying, I rented my home. No. As long as you're within that 14 days in a year, which is where the Augusta strategy thingy comes in. And the rental must be for a business purpose. So if you're renting it out for somebody to do a video shoot, or you're renting it out for people to do a team building, they must have like their minutes, they must have some records to say that this business held their annual general meeting at John's address, and the meeting was for 12 days, or we took 5 days twice a year. And during those 5 days, I left my home and I rented it out for $2,000. And the company, the business paid for that. That's a tax deduction for them. It's a tax-free income to me. Don't go past that. And then utility expenses. Wow, the spelling gets worse as we go towards it. Utility expenses, any utilities that you use for your business, that goes without saying. Wi-Fi, electricity, water, sewer, trash, anything, cleaning, whatever utilities that you use, you can deduct them. That one could be easy, especially if you have a specific business location, because you can actually associate those utilities to. If you are using a home office, then it's a portion of those based. So you have a 5,000 square foot house and use 1,000 square foot, 20% of those. And then office technology, a really broad category, typically 100% deductible. And it includes things like office supplies, software, office supplies, again, almost twice. And I did put there that things like computers, you may want to consider this under equipment so you can depreciate them. But if you bought, you know, like a printer or a computer for, let me say $300-400, you might as well just put it as an office expense for that year. If you buy one of these big multifunction printers, which is thousands of dollars, you may choose, again, working with your CPA to actually experience it. And then legal and professional fees. So even your CPA that does your taxes, your insurance broker, your attorney, your accountant, all their fees are business expenses. And what you need to do is, if those fees go over the $600 in a year, you should issue them what they call a Form 1099, because that's the only way that you ensure that you paid for those services and you need to deduct them. That said, if your CPA does your taxes and charges you $200, those ones you can put them in or you have a bookkeeper that is doing bookkeeping for maybe $300-400, you can actually just write those and show the receipts as proof that you spent that money. You don't necessarily need to go issuing them this Form 1099, which you can buy from any stationery or can get them online. You send it to them and you send a copy to the IRS and to show that you spent that money on those professionals. And then contract labor, you can have virtual assistants, you can have graphic designers, you can have people that do lawn care, pet care, cleaners, all of those people. Again, you either have a receipt for those contracts that you paid, or you issue them with a 1099 if the expense goes over $600 a year. And bank fees and other merchant processing fees. These are little expenses that we can leave on the table. But if you have a business bank account, which we all should have for our businesses so we don't commingle our funds, then or business credit card, then all fees that you require to maintain those accounts, wire transfer fees, late fees, overdraft fees, yes, and if those ones you can deduct them. If you do a lot of merchant processing or you do a lot of payments, let's say by PayPal or some of these services that actually charge you for transacting those businesses. For example, you go to PayPal, they say, is this personal or business? And those charges, you can actually accumulate them and deduct them from your taxes. And most of us, we never do those because when you send some money to somebody, those charges are already included. You don't think about it. But in reality, if you request from the financial institution at the end of the year, they will be able to send you an annual fees statement, which you can just give to your CPA. And then same goes for things like business loans. You take a loan, you're repaying over time. The principal is not deductible, but in general, if that loan was for a business purpose, then the interest is deductible. And again, you can get that interest from your lender, who would issue you a 1099 INT at the end of the year, and you can use that for your taxes. And then business taxes, payroll taxes and other taxes that the business pays. Some of them might even be sales taxes if it's not a business an exempt. Those ones you can actually deduct them. However, you cannot include your personal taxes as part of the business. Once it's coming as income to you, those are your taxes and they do not belong to your business at that point. Repairs and maintenance. It was interesting when I saw this one because they had repairs are deductible, but generally, if you go in and you either repair something and increase the value, that's why the IRS will consider that as a renovation. Then you cannot deduct that. So if the repair or maintenance was intended to bring it back to its current or usable state, you can deduct those fees. If you then went in and decided to add maybe an extension to your garage, that one cannot be considered a repair or maintenance even to your business facility. It may be a capital expense that you may depreciate in one way or the other, or that when you sell the property you recoup, but it's not a maintenance item. Then as we go ahead, we'll realize that there are lots of other tax deductions that we can be creative and legally think about. I did talk about the idea of having restructuring your business so that from an LLC to an S corp or to a C corp, so that you don't incur the double employer-employee Social Security taxation. I talked about incorporating family members into your business. because if they come into your business, then the expenses that go to them are also business expenses. And other things like research and development fees, if it's a business that you're doing some R&D to develop new products and grow your business, then those costs can be deducted. And finally, in the US here, there is this section 162 of the Internal Revenue Code that says that all ordinary and necessary expenses incurred to run a business are deductible. And I mean, that is such a broad statement. And the question is, what the heck is ordinary and necessary? And one financial professional explained it to me that an ordinary unnecessary or an ordinary expense is an expense that a business similar to yours would typically incur. So let's say all the companies that are in your industry, they get the services of some specialist that comes and does pest control or something. Those might be ordinary and necessary for your business. But you need to just look at them and say, would this pass the test of being ordinary? If you are in a business and you become the only one in your industry that's doing those type of deductions, then they'll typically not be considered ordinary. So whatever the case, the idea of proper record keeping, we cannot overemphasize. It's better for you to over record keep, and then when you provide that information, your tax professional tells you that this, and this are not acceptable, than for you to be scratching your head and say, oh, I think maybe I should, or probably this. No, if you don't have the record and you get audited, then they can conceivably argue that that expense was not incurred. This really is, I throw this out more like, as I said, general awareness. I'm not a tax professional. And when I gather this information on this checklist, I use it more to just say, okay, these are some of the things that I want to prepare, because we are at the beginning of the year. You want to be ready and not wait at the end of the year. You start scratching your head and saying, oh, I never had the receipt for this or that and that. So get good records for yourself. When it comes to expenses, one of the things I normally tell people which have worked for me is that keep like a business credit card separate from your personal credit card. That way, all your business expenses will go through those cards, and a lot of the business credit cards do an excellent job of itemizing or categorizing these expenses on a quarterly or monthly basis for you at the end of the year, which you can literally print out, look at them, and give to your CPA. For those of you who are more into the finance area, and I know there are lots of people here who are more qualified to talk about this than me, and you use online software like QuickBooks or other related bookkeeping software, that would be an excellent way for you to keep records as you go. Or for the rest of us who are kind of just getting in and we don't know how to use this tool, we don't know, we don't have a lot of money to go paying for them. One, just an Excel spreadsheet or any spreadsheet you can put together and record the information as you go will be very helpful, because to come back in September and start remembering what we did on February 2nd is going to be very difficult. So if you keep your records on a weekly basis, then at the end of the month, you can look back and see where things are going, which is a good business practice. And then at the end of the day, when you pull all that information and you sit down with your financial professional, they can then sift through and say, okay, yes, 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 yes. And at the end of the day, you can actually have a lot of business deductions done, and your taxes could end up being close to zero. So I hope this was useful. I just thought I'd share this because I get it, so I can share it with you. If this is going to help, especially in the coming year, because if you did not have the information last year, you may not necessarily be able to get all of it. But since we are at the beginning of the year, we can use this information to collecting some of this data, which will be helpful for us when we get to the end of the year. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to stop. And I thank you for listening. And I'm going to hand it back over to our Queen moderators.
Wow, Sister Carla, where are you?
I am right here. Oh my goodness. I was still trying to write down my last word, what I was taking down. Oh my goodness. Dr. John, yes, I will step in from here, taking over from Dr. Pat, and we continue to the end of the webinar today. But if our sister Irene is here, let me know. She can join as we continue with the webinar. So thank you all. Thank you, Sister P, for passing the baton over to me. Welcome once more, and Kanla from the state of Delaware, joining the rest of the team leaders. So, Dr. John, where do I begin? Oh my goodness. Even I myself, I've been writing and my pages are full, and I took some screenshot, and I know I'm not the only one. This was a wonderful, amazing, powerful, educational information you just shared with us. And how best you have done it, because it was simple. It was easy to understand. It was easy to follow through. All you took us from the beginning, from where we begin the planning in our business, all to the end when our apple starts falling, and then we are able to file taxes and reap some of the benefits. And that in itself, we cannot buy this information, even if we go to school. No, because they will not provide you this information, because it comes from experience. It comes from putting it into application practice. And it comes from associating in a family like OnPassive we have created. Being part of a business, our OnPassive business has given us this opportunity. It has basically opened the window. And now we are learning all this stuff from Dr. John. How amazing can that be? What a blessing can that be for all of us? So thank you so much. Thank you for that awesome, powerful presentation. We appreciate you. I know for myself, I'll have some, I think 1 or 2 questions that I'll ask, but I know many others also will have questions to ask. Whether your questions will come from the first part of the presentation we all can recall about the choice, the decision of what type of a business do you want to build? Do you want to be still an employee? Do you want to be a self-ownership? Or do you want to run your business where you have other team members working with you? That decision is for us to make. And our OnPassive is here presenting that to us. For me, my desire, my dream, and without even any doubt anymore, is to be at that position where the business, the system, I am there, and I should be able to prepare my taxes just in the way that Dr. John has explained to us, to be able to make the most, the maximum, the most out of the system that we have for us. I'm excited for this new information, learning every day. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. John. We greatly appreciate you. We love you. And if any of our leaders have questions, or if we do have questions, please, when we get to that portion, either you raise your hand, you put your hands or your comments or your questions in the chat for us, and we will be able to come back to your questions. But in the meantime, to continue with our program, our schedule, we would like to check in with Dr. Derek for updates.
Oh, mercy.
Yes, Sister Bridget, we will come back to us, but let us see what we have, and then before we can open it up. Dr. D.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Maybe I have a word or two, but um, as we know, there is no updates really, but peace, blessings, enough, whole heap, plenty, a lot of love to all our global ambassadors. Really appreciate, really appreciate, really appreciate. Kings and queens in the house, all leaders in the house. And we thank you all very much for joining uh, the Dream Team webinar this wonderful Sunday afternoon on the Eastern Standard Time section of the world. Wonderful presentation, Queen Yvonne Finn. That was a wonderful mindset. You are a little long overdue on the deep dive side because with with that mindset, oh my goodness, we need a presentation on the deep dive side because that was definitely a very good short deep dive mindset presentation. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Queen Yvonne Finn. That was awesome. I love the mindset. The mindset is the favorite, bestest part of any webinar that I am involved in. And thank you very much, King Dr. John. Really appreciate, really appreciate. That was an awesome financial presentation, the financial mindset for any business, not just on passive business, but any business that you might be in, or you might be taking on, or you might be gravitating to. It works for all. It works for all business. So it's not just on passive business. So really appreciate that, King Dr. John. The the updates, as we know, there is no update with regards to Ash and on passive, just that we continue to be patient, continue to be patient, because that's the only thing we can do. And while we continue to be patient, let us also develop our mindset, because that's what we need to do, especially for any business, and this business in particular. Mental mindset is very important, and so this business call for a mental capacity of good business ethics also. And so the just to look at quickly to look at three qualities. Just go and name them, not going to go into them, but three qualities of leader or leadership. Three leadership qualities that we should have. And as I said, all of us here are leaders. We need to develop relationships, and of course, we know that that is very important. Confidence and competence. Confidence and competence. And of course, aggressiveness. And that is not aggressiveness where you are angry with people. Aggressiveness into what you are doing. So if you are a plumber and that's your business, then get out there and be aggressively the best plumber that you can be, or the best architect you can be, or the best teacher that you can be, right? Teaching your own subject. We're not talking about going to school now. We're talking about doing it as a business, all right, and as a leader. So thank you very much. I don't know if Queen Kanla, under the umbrella, wearing the hat of updates, have any updates for us. Over to you, Queen Kanla.
Thank you, Dr. D. We appreciate you and we appreciate everything you do for the Dream Team and for all the other team, including yours and yours truly, Deep Dive, the technology, everything. We look up to you. You just named the qualities of a good leader or some characteristics. And yes, you show one or many of those. And for that, and every other leader in the Dream Team, as well as our own passive, including our CEO, we appreciate that and we love that. Yeah, no, I don't have anything different, additional to add other than let's stay fired up, ready to go, and wait for our CEO when the next he comes to us with update. So thank you. And with that, we can move on to the next section of our webinar today. But before doing that, I would like to acknowledge the other team members that work with us on the update. Sister Marie Pendy, we appreciate you. Sister Miriam, we say thank you as well. As you may not be here, we appreciate everything that you do. So at this time, I would like to call on the Q&D team so we are able to introduce themselves as we get ready to begin the Q&D. And then after the introduction, then we can be able to say goodbye to our sisters, our brothers, our kings and our queens on YouTube. And then we can proceed to Q&D. So, and who is the lead of Q&D? None other than the First Lady of Unpassive, Queen D. Benny. Over to you, my dear Queen sister.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Queen Rahab Kanla. Thank you. Greetings, and happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to my queens and kings around the globe. Let me say something. It's so wonderful to see so many familiar faces joining this, our amazing, or should I say astonishing, Dream Team webinar. But before I proceed, I want to take this moment to thank our Heavenly Father. Do you guys know that a lot of people died 2 or 3 days ago? 67 or more. Thank God you were not there, right? That is why you guys don't understand why I always come here and say, I want to take this special moment to thank God. Do you know that maybe if they were thanking God from the beginning, maybe they wouldn't have died? That is my thinking. I'm thinking that way. Queen Kanla, I am thinking that way. If they were thinking, had it been there, somebody, one person would have stayed alive. Oh yes, I'm saying it because I know with all my heart. So I want to thank God for bringing you and I together this morning, afternoon, evening. It all depends upon your location, isn't it, Mr. Carlton? I am telling you, yes. Thank you. Before I proceed, I want to thank, really, really thank our host. Do you guys know who our host is? Our host, the one and only Queen Dr. Patient Ajongwen. Thank you. Thank you so much, Queen. Well, I'm going to thank the rest, but let me allow Queen Yvonne Finn to please introduce herself for the question and discussion team. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Penny.
Yeah, man.
How are you? Glad to see you. Yes, sir. Yeah. So, my name is Yvonne Finn. I reside in Canada and I am the chat monitor. And I love that. So that's what I do. Today, I was stepping out a bit and I do that once in a while. But most often, that's where you can find me in the chat. So put your questions there, please. Thanks, Dr. Penny.
Thank you so much, Queen Yvonne Finn. I appreciate you. Queen Engineer Bridget, could you please introduce yourself? Queen.
Giving me the opportunity. In addition, I would just like to add to your words. If we can give 1 minute to think about those people who has from those two flights over the Potomac as well as in Philadelphia, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Amen. So my name is Bridget, and I live in Maryland, here in Frederick. I'm part of the and the team with Dream Team, and I'm so proud to be part of it. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Queen Engineer Bridget. The only woman. Let me be quiet at the moment. Queen Aisha, could you please introduce yourself? Unmute yourself, Queen Aisha.
I don't see her.
No, she raised her hand up.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I'm the co-host. That is why I can't say. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're connecting with us. My name is Aisha Ndanusa, connecting from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you, everyone. I want to appreciate my co-team, Kale and Dick. I'm part of question and discussion team. Thank you for joining us. And also, I want to appreciate our mindset for today, Sister Yvonne. Thank you very much. Thank you. And also, Dr. John, for that wonderful presentation. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us this evening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. If I didn't call your name, thank you for connecting with us. You can go ahead and drop your question in the chat room or go ahead and raise up your hand. We'll take it from there. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Guess what? Before I allow anyone to ask questions, I want to thank our mindset for today. Do you guys know who she is? Jesus. Hey. Anyway, you guys know that I smile all the time, right? But she smiles like I would say astonishing mindset, my sister. Thank you so much, Queen Yvonne Finn. We appreciate you. Yes. Do you guys know who always welcome us every Sunday? I mean, she brags about her position like crazy. Queen Marie Pendi. Oh, yes, look at her. Oh, yes. Oh, I mean, she loves it. I mean, I'm so proud of you, my sister. Thank you so much for your love and your support within this, our amazing, should I say astonishing, webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benny.
Thank you. All right. Preche, my king, are you available? I just want to say thank you anyway for your love and support as well. You are always there for us, making us smile. Thank you so much. Guess what? Do you guys know who our presenter is? Was or is? Hey, our real man, our king, our brother, Dr. John Ajongwen. Thank you so much. Extraordinary presentation. You guys know I don't know anything about finance now. I know that Queen Engineer Bridget, she's ready to ask you serious questions, but I'm coming. I want to thank our moderators. We do have moderators that wear multiple hats. She's here and there. She's within question and discussion. She will also do mindset. She will do updates. Her name is one and only Queen Kanla. Thank you so much, my queen. I love you. Yes, you are. Thank you. Thank you. Do you guys also know this lady? She's never here, but she's always on the chart. Queen Rose. I just want to appreciate you because you are working behind the scene. You always support the dream team, and you will continue to support until we start making the dollars. Thank you so much, Queen. We appreciate you. And do you guys know about our update team? Our one and only King Dr. Derek. Yeah, our King. Thank you, King Dr. Derek, for your love and support for everything that you have been doing here. And then another update, we have Queen Kanla. Anyway, I love you guys. Question and discussion. You guys know that this is a tax season, right? You guys heard about what our King Dr. John was talking about when it comes to taxes. Are you guys ready? Raise your hands electronically. Or you can write your question on the chat, and Queen Yvonne Finn will be ready to read your question. Thank you so much, my brothers and sisters, for listening. I love you guys. Hey, do you guys notice that? Did anyone say I love you today? As Queen Lerato always say, I love you guys with all my heart, mind, and soul. Right. King,
we love you all.
Proceed.
All right, thank you. Thank you, our Queen and First Lady. We appreciate you. Oh, yes, I can see we've started getting our hands raised. Thank you, Brother Enes, but hold on for now. At this time, I would like to call on none other than Dr. Pat to give us a word so we can close the YouTube as we head into the Q&D proper. Over to you, Dr. Pat, and thank you for the platform. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the leadership. You are great and awesome leader. My sister, we love you. Thank you. Over to you.
Let me check.
Okay. Okay, I think she's muted at this time.
Hello, there's a hand up. We have
Yeah, we want to close the YouTube and before.
No, we do a little bit of discussion. It's when, yeah, we don't close YouTube. I don't think there's any topic that is going to be not beneficial for our YouTube audience. We're discussing questions based on the financial things. So let's go. Any question that we think is proprietary, we can hold it after YouTube, please. Let's start because they might have questions that everybody will benefit with the YouTube people.
Okay. All right then. Please, if you have your questions, raise your hands if you can, and write your questions on the chat if you are not able to raise your hands. Okay. Brother Ernest, you can begin. I see your hand raised. Please share with us your comments or your questions if you have questions for Dr. John.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam, very much. Thank you, Dr. John and the team for always being there for us. Dr. John, I'm so happy with your presentation. When it comes to tax, I've seen cases where somebody will come to me rejoicing, I've gotten this amount, before you know the IRS will be at the door knocking to refund back another the same amount that he almost received and was celebrating. And in that case, it's always very, one of my brothers said he have to relocate out of this America because he doesn't know why anytime the IRS is behind him, it's as if somebody is saying something to them about him. I've just discovered the information you put in the system is the same information that will use it against you to come after you. And if you don't know, ignorance is not even an excuse, because when you don't know, it is not somebody's fault. You have to seek the knowledge. You have to be there, find out from whoever. I have, the first 2 years that I've been in the state, I've filed tax with people, but the other years now I've been doing it on my own. Yes, I do it on my own, and then I've never had any issue with IRS. I'm not an tax somebody, but I just put what I have on my paper. I don't say something from the space. So I've never filed. I've never had opportunity to file for 1099. Is this year that I'm involving those because I've always been. It has always been W2. So I just wish to ask: am I going to combine the two and file at the same time, or I file for this and then I file for 1099 separately, and then after I come back and file for W2 that I've been filing? Can I combine the two and file at the same time, or how can I go about it?
Okay, so if I get you right, you've typically been you get your 1099, you've typically been getting your W2s, and now you also 1099.
Yes.
All of those go together. And you just hand them to your CPA, and they'll do one tax return for you. The key thing is that if that 1099 you were doing as a side gig, for example,
Yes.
I'm just using an example now, and you were using your car and driving up and down the East Coast to make that the money that came on your 1099.
Yes.
Now you need to be able to provide your CPA with some expenses to offset some of that 1099 income. Okay. And what I was trying to say is that you cannot I'm just throwing numbers off the top of my head here. You go and say, oh, this is my 1099 for $10,000, just put it that way. And yes. 1099 basically tells the IRS that somebody paid Ernest $10,000 and we did not withhold any taxes. So Ernest is responsible for his taxes. That's all it is. And so they got your social security number on that document, and that company, they don't expect them to give any social security contributions for you. They don't expect any federal taxes from you, from the company. So now that you have received that 1099, you now give it to your accountant, and they're going to add it with your W-2 income.
Yes.
Let's say that your W-2 income brought you just to the 25% tax bracket.
Yes.
And the limit of 25% tax bracket. And then your 1099 now comes and goes in at the 32% tax bracket. If you come and you just hand it to your CPA, they're gonna just add that on top of your income and do your taxes. But the question then is, did you incur any expenses in making this $10,000? So just cycling back, if you were using your car, for example, for that business, you need to have some sort of mileage or cost that. And the mileage is useful because you can say, okay, for the year, my starting mileage was 5,000. It ended up 20,000. That means I used 15,000 miles during the year. And out of those 15,000, 5,000 of them were pleasure, 10,000 of them were business. So they'll take those business and put them as an expense towards that 10,000 1099 you provide. If you don't have any record keeping, then all that you're going to just do is you're going to pay the tax on that 1099.
Okay, I will instead be the one to pay.
You're the one who's going to pay the tax anyway, because 1099 form basically means that the employer or whoever issued you that document did not withhold any taxes. The taxes are your responsibility. And so as a business person, if you did not have, let's say you made $100,000 on your 1099 and you go and you give it to your CPA and there were zero expenses, they're gonna put income 100,000, expenses 0. So you are responsible for the taxes on that 100,000. But if you had been looking at these different things that we talked about and kept proper records, and you can come in and prove that, okay, I had these meetings, I did this amount of travel, I used my phone for this particular purpose, you could actually end up, if you have the documentation, in a situation where you could expense 20,000, I'm just throwing numbers out. You could have an expense, and now you'll be having a tax bill for 80,000, not the whole 100,000. On the other hand, if your 1099 was for a company, let's say your company is NSC LLC.
Yes.
And you have worked for somebody as your LLC, and they have given you they're giving you the 1099, and that's the only source of your income. And then again, you will, if they go and they do a separate business tax for you.
Yeah.
So that they'll first do a business tax for you and then get that net amount to flow into your income. If they do that separate business tax, you will end up paying Social Security for both employer and employee. If that LLC that got that income got actually reclassed as an S corporation just for purposes of taxes, you not change your registration, you just elect to be taxed as an S corp. Your CPA will help you with a form that you need to complete so that you elect to be taxed by an S corp as an S corp. And then you will end up not really paying that double Social Security taxation. And so I'm saying that they are the experts. And if you just go hand in those documents to them, they're going to assume you have zero expenses. They're going to do the best they can do for you, and you pay the rest. But if you did proper record keeping, and that's what I'm saying, let's start in January. And if you miss January, this is February, and you keep those records, then we would actually have, you also have that to do. The other thing that you opened up your statement and made was that you have been doing your taxes by yourself.
Yeah, BW2, not 1099.
Okay, I was just about to say, if all you got is only your W-2 that comes in, and you had done your W-4, we said, okay, I have two two dependents, and this is what I'm claiming. You can go use those simple tax documents like tax software to just do your taxes, because you have just that one return from your employer. There's not a lot to do. But even with those ones, I normally start telling people, if you're making some, not a lot of money, you can think about it. But in most cases, we are all business people now. And if you remember that sooner or later, our business taxes can also be tax deductible. The $100 that you're saving, if you make a mistake, that's a very good way to invite the IRS to you. So I normally tell people it's not worth it. I mean, I've done it before a couple of times, but I did it out of curiosity to understand how the software works. And I don't want to do it because if I'm audited, I'll not know what to do. So stay away from that if at all possible, because the cost of really doing it through somebody is a few hundreds and it's less headache.
Okay, thank you. Well, people keep saying when you file with 1099, you usually get more money because they say America encourages business. And then on the other hand, you see those who are filed in the name of the country is encouraging business. Before you know it, IRS come after them, asking back.
Well, that's where the whole this presentation is focused on. If it's not documented, it doesn't exist. So if you get audited and you have been keeping your records, if again, once you get to a point that you become a big business, I will almost encourage you to have like a bookkeeper that is doing the bookkeeping for you, because they can actually help reconcile your books. And if you then go in, see what we do is we do all these shortcuts and then get ourselves in trouble. And sometimes you may end up, the reason why people make those statements is really the reason I started with that opening statement, that when you look at it, the businesses really end up not making, well, they end up being tax efficient for the owners because of all these possible deductions. But if you don't know about them, you'll not claim them. And if you don't get the right professionals to help you, then you can go make a mistake. So that's all I can say.
You know, before you finish, Dr. John, it's Yvonne, I'd just like to read, on your topic there, Brother Ernest, Brother Shaggy is saying, Brother Ernest, if you do your taxes yourself, you may need to contact Dr. John for more help on this issue. Otherwise, you will need a tax preparer this time, he's saying, because it's different now. That's what he's saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Enes, for that question. I know one or many of us have learned something from that. So we appreciate your questions. And I can see our none other than Dr. P, your hand is raised. Sister Aisha will come to you later.
I know Sister Aisha hand is raised as well. I just wanted to add, but I think you all covered the point. And yes, it's good. From question we learn. Okay. So yes. If you have a simple thing, we all actually file our taxes. But when it starts being complicated, you're working with different companies, you're working, maybe it's part of your job is out of the country. There's a lot that comes in now. Yes, you said something that people say, file with 1099, you might have money back. Well, it depends whether you really have deductibles. Because remember, companies have the deductibles, as Dr. John said. Your travel expense, your mileage, I have to be record keeping. Some people actually say, okay, I bought this suit because for my business, it's my uniform, some clothing you can identify that, okay, it was for business reason. Things like that, people that does that type of like, okay, I'm a nurse, travel nurse, I have to buy scrub for my business because I don't have any choice. Those things you keep record, you might have deductible, and that deductible is what is making it to have a little bit back. It doesn't mean like 1099 and W2. W2, the company does some of the heavy lifting for you, right? Because they withhold you tax based on what you have decided. But you can do a W2 and say, don't withhold any taxes as well. You can do that. You don't claim anybody. And they'll give all your money. Then you have to pay your taxes. So when they say being tax smart and not tax deferred, all is that is record keeping. So people claim mileage from their car, people lease car when they have the 1099 and use it for their business. You have to show all your mileage or the proof that yes, I travel here for business. This is the depreciation of my car based on business. Yes, they'll give you money because you need to get that capital back. But it has to all be documented and you have to have proof. So excellent question. That's why I said some of these we might still have YouTube running because people on YouTube are learning as well. Thank you, Sister Kanla. And you can.
Dr. P, just for a quick follow up. Somebody's make mention as eating lunch as part of expenses. I said, okay, we to go to that restaurant and eat, you should have the receipt, right?
Yes. So if you're going for a business lunch, and if I think Dr. John put that in my company, I have a limit that I can go if I'm out of state because I'm going out of state because of business, for example, and because it's business. If I was home, maybe I would have had food in my house to eat, but now I have to buy food. Lunch has a limit I can use for lunch. Breakfast a limit I can use for breakfast. Dinner has a limit I can use for dinner. Even where I stay, accommodation have a limit. Okay, when I pass that limit, I have to justify why I passed that limit. Sometimes the limit is there, but they send me to somewhere like Seattle, which is more expensive. I have to justify that, hey, I was in Seattle. This is the cheapest hotel I can find. I have to justify, hey, this is Seattle. This is the rate at which they're charging for lunch. And I have to keep all my receipts. This is company one. So it's the same. Remember, 1099 is the self-employed, like a business person. So the company, I have to file in all that for them to reimburse my travel expense, and the company has to file that receipt for their own company taxes, right? So I cannot claim all this without filing my taxes. So every restaurant I go, I take the receipt, come scan it, and I go to what we call the expense report to expense my report. If I don't have that receipt, then it's on me, the employee. So I'm going to a company business. I'm out of town. If I decide to drive my car, so if they give me the permission, like I'm going to business, I have to clock in a mileage. They have to claim mileage for my car. So for all the allows to claim mileage, some people might say, okay, bring your petrol fee. If I use my Easy Pass, I have to show that claim all of that expenses, but I have to put receipts. So it's just like you now, filing for 1099, like if self-employed, you have to produce all those receipts. I don't know, Dr. John, correct me if I'm right. I think there's a minimum that sometimes they can say, okay, you don't really have to have a receipt about on. Is that true for you filing for 1099, Dr. John?
Yeah, typically there's some of those expenses you just need to document them. You say, we went, met this person, we had dinner for $20 to $15 or so. But different companies have different limits as to what they can submit for receipts. But
yeah, I'm talking about a self-employed 1099 person. There's some amount that
just get a receipt.
Yes, I mean, guys, you lost your receipts. There's a minimum.
You can write a small amount,
yes. But if you have your
having
receipt,
200,
yes. So if you have your receipt, it's better. But if you lost your receipt, you cannot even claim up to maybe the amount you spend. So better keep your receipt. Go with your scan your receipt when you come back. Keep it safe and submit it. And I bet, if I remember properly, it's good for you on 1099 to do quarterly tax filing. Actually, they encourage you to do quarterly tax filing if you're really purely self-employed. You have to pay your tax every quarter. You don't wait till the end of the year, because you can owe Uncle Sam can owe you, but you cannot owe Uncle Sam. If you owe, they slam you interest, but they owe you and give you no interest. So just keep that in mind for those in the US. Thank you.
So somebody also made mention of maybe a car loan that you are paying on. So is this supposed to be part of the expenses?
So your CPA will tell you all what is deductible, right? But I think so. But yes, that's why they said if your taxes are getting complicated, don't go be doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Then some things that does not make sense, you flag. Once you are flagged and audited, trust me, the next couple of years you'll be to audit you. So just check with your CPA what is the claim, what you can claim, what you cannot claim. They should be able to help you with that. But if that car was listed for business, yes. Because people list a car for their business. you can claim all the business mileage for depreciating factors. But you have to be careful if you're using that card for your personal pleasure, as Dr. John said, you have to tease all of that out.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry to cut in. Additionally, my brother, what Brad John is focusing on is America wants you to make the best of your income and still pay taxes. Now, if you want to give everything to them, like you said, 100% taxation, they're happy. But if you want to enjoy the money you make, America is not against you. So that's why a 1099, you have to look at what did you spend to do that business. If you don't put it there, you just take it 33% or whatever it is, and they're happy, but now you're losing. That's why I say some people will pay 100% taxation. Others will know that my input is recognized by IRS. Without a car, you can't do that business. Let's say you have a job, and then you got this technician offer that they call you when somebody needs their computer repaired. They send you an email. You got the email. You responded. You go to the house of the person, fix the computer, $25 an hour. End of the year, you got a 1099, $45,000. IRS should take 33%. If that's a tax bracket, and they're happy, they waive you, they love you. But hey, you just lost money because your mileage, your gas after 5 p.m., meal, you didn't get it out of it. You might end up saying for that $45,000 job or contract for 1099, it was a loss because they gave you a job that is in Yonkers and you live in New Jersey. Each time you go, you pay $30 of toll. So you add it up. I'm losing money here. Fine. There is income already. When you file with a good accountant, you know what to do, you would declare that part of it as a loss. I have to look at it and say that, oh yeah, if you travel that far to do it, why are you even doing the job? And you'll be able to get a lot of it back to compensate. But if you just throw it in there, they won't ask you questions. So DrJohn is saying, make best of your income and file taxes. And regarding the receipt, if it's possible to make it a credit card, or it's better. Look, I go to my credit card, they send me a PDF file. I load the PDF file into a spreadsheet, and it gives me a list of everything. 5 minutes. You can highlight all the one in spreadsheet that has to do with where you went, what you do, and you have a record. Otherwise, there's apps, a lot of them in Apple and Android phones. When you're going out, it traps your mile, traps your expenses. When you finish, generate a report. That's all you need. So you can make the best of your 1099 income. The other one, I don't think can do anything. Sorry for calling in.
You're welcome, Brother Shage. I mean, your input was equally important, and we appreciate you sharing your thought as well. So thank you, Brother Shage. Right, Ernest, I hope your answers, the answers to your questions is all good right now, so we can move to the next. And that would be Sister Aisha. Sister Aisha, I see your hand raised. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Sister Kamla, for your community. Brother John, I want to appreciate you once again. My question is being centered on, you guys are talking about, I came in late while you're discussing about the health insurance, talking about the expenses incurred. I want to know if, aside from your tax being relieved from the expenses you incur in the states, is there any policy in insurance that you can pick that can relieve your tax? Because here in Nigeria, there are some policy you pick that can relieve you of your tax, and it's based on the preceding year. When you have that policy, your tax can be relieved for the preceding. Thank you. That's all. I don't know if my question is clear.
Yes, Sister Aisha, sorry. Thank you for bringing that up, because there are some policy, like in general here in the US, most benefits run year by year. So they always have like those open enrollment type periods where you come in as an employee and they say you have to do your benefits enrollment, and in most cases you select what you want. When it comes to some type of policies that companies have, I know that some companies will have for their employees like group universal life insurances where the employees are contributing to them now, if that's what you're asking. And then if next year they continue, they'll still be contributing. And sometimes when they leave the company, they can actually take away with them if they choose. But when you look at it from business owners, yes, you can literally set up a plan for yourself as a business owner, or your business can set up a plan for you as a business owner, which will go from year to year, and the business will be contributing towards that. Not only a health insurance policy, but also you can do it for life insurance, you can do disability insurance, and the company would continue to contribute as long as that person is an employee. And then again, I hope I didn't get the question wrong. When you get to businesses can actually take can actually do like executive bonuses for their for their key employers, or they can do what they call a key person policy. Those are prominent type policies that they may come in and tell you, if you work with us for the next 10 years, we'll contribute X and you can take the policy away with you. If you leave before a certain period of time, you either pay us back or you lose it. And so, yes, there are some of those that are benefits. However, as a business, if you're the business owner and you're doing that to your employee, you would be able to deduct that cost as an employee expense. And then that employee would pay taxes on that money. And that policy remains, it could be cash and the cash is theirs. So yes, there are some of those vehicles that businesses can actually get for their employees, and they go year by year, or they go multi-years. But in general, things like the healthcare policy, health insurance policies are usually annual in the United States. Because they may change the provider, they may actually have different prices, and the employees typically register between November and December to start for the year. I don't know, is that what you're asking? And I mean, being somebody in the financial area, you can also tell us what some of the business people on the platform, say from Nigeria or other areas, can also benefit, which may be different from the US.
Thank you, Dr. John. Yes, as you talk of the health insurance, yes, it's annually here also. I was talking about the tax relief. You know, at times if you have been employed in a company, or maybe in sectors, and you have a life insurance, and let me say you have a any kind of policy that you're running. When it comes to the year ended, we are going to deduct the tax and everything that you have incurred. So they look at your policy. If you have any life insurance, the insurance company will issue a certificate to you for your company to relieve you of that tax for that year. So you submit that year, you won't be paying your tax. So because you have life insurance with a company, so they will use the tax certificate to relieve you of the tax. Well, you buying life insurance, while working, yeah, at times those that know about it, that's why whenever we are presenting, we tell you that those that have the information know the right thing to do. You understand? Some person don't know. When you tell some people to buy insurance, they tell you, I don't need insurance, I don't need to buy insurance. Why do I need to buy insurance? You buying insurance is not when you need it. You understand? When you are young and healthy, when you need it most, you won't be able to get it. But you don't buy insurance when you need it. You just buy it because you'll be needing it in the future, right? That's why you buy insurance. So with that, you can relieve your tax and you can pay for your health benefits. You can also pay for maybe if there is any eventuality, the beneficiary will also benefit from that. And if not, it all depends the kind of policy you're picking from the insurance company. Well, that will be for another day. Thank you, Dr. John. Thank you very much for your presentation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sister Aisha. And at that aspect which we talked about, you protect your business. When we get to it, that will be a team meeting. Yeah. So for those of us here in the US, so you know, when we're working with our companies and you do your annual enrollment, you typically just have that life insurance, typically 1 to 1.5 times your salary, or maximum 3 times your salary. In fact, they give us, most companies will give us 1 time your salary free. And if you want to go maybe up to 7 times, you pay addition. There is typically no tax refund from anybody here to any employee for taking that life insurance policy, because typically, since the considered life insurance is always funded with after-tax dollars, the person that benefits from paying your one-time insurance in the company is the company, because they've considered it as a benefit to you. And as Sister Aisha said, many of us, you know, when we're young and healthy, we don't think about tomorrow. And so part of the crusade we always tell people is do something outside of work, because the company is protecting you as their resource while you're working for them. And if you live at the end of the year alive, okay, you're gone. They don't really have anything to do with you. If you pass away during the course of the year, they will take some money from there and they can give your family something. So that is something that is generally done here. It is when you start looking at it as a business person, you own your business and the business is relying on you, either from management or for knowledge, some key knowledge that you bring to that business. Then they start designing some of these policies that most of the time the companies own, or they can get you to own, but whoever is the owner is the person that has to decide on those taxes. In the US, they don't actually get any of those deductions or tax. Even if you do the group universal life insurances, they don't send any certificates for you. One thing that some of you, whether you have a private policy or you have a company policy, generally that you notice is that if your policy includes long-term care, then at the end of the year, you'll see the insurance companies will send you a tax form stating how much premium you paid for that long-term care, and that long-term care premium is tax deductible even for you, the employee, but not your general premiums. So again, those are some things we can explore later. But thank you very much, Sister Aisha, and that for that input. The financial persons and its property.
Wonderful. I mean, I have a question that I would like to follow up on that. Sister Bridget, if you can, it just got me thinking with curiosity, how come when we file taxes, and there is a part of it that says if you have your health care, it is zero, and the question they ask, were you covered by health care for this year during your taxes? So my curiosity is, why is it during filing your taxes that is part of what is considered? So if you do not have taxes, is there a tax code or an aspect of it that will penalize you, or you will be taxed for it?
I know that during the Obamacare, people had to have healthcare, or otherwise or buy it through the marketplace, or they will be penalized. I also know that again, this is healthcare taxation. There was something I knew about it, why those come in, and I've forgotten. But I know that as somebody who is employed, if you also went and have your own private healthcare, I believe there's a certain percentage of your income that if you spend on your private healthcare, I believe it's 7.5% or something like that. If you spend more than that amount on healthcare, and then, like, let's say you went and got your own policy outside of your company, even if you're working, and you spend the premiums more than a certain amount, cannot remember the number off the top of my head, then you can get a tax deduction for that excess. If it's below that amount, they don't do anything. So I would think that, and again, that's something we get a CPA to actually answer. I would think that those 2 points. One, remember at some point, if you did not have health insurance, you were penalized, would have been the question. And two, if you go and you have excessive premiums above the, I think, 7.5% of your gross adjusted income, then you can have a deduction. I don't know what percentage is deducted. And maybe that may be part of the reason for that. And that's something I'll chat with CPA and maybe provide some feedback in the future.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for that. Queen Yvonne, do we have any question in the chat before Queen Sister Bridget can proceed?
No, we don't, sister. Go ahead.
All right. Over to you, Sister Bridget.
Thank you, Sister Carla. Thank you, Dr. John, for such outstanding presentation. You always feed us with such valuable information. I have a whole bunch of questions to ask, but I know I'm not going to hold question, but I have one that I can ask now. First, I would like to for us, it's better to do your taxes quarterly, because that's what I've done. I've always been with 1099 pretty much most of my career. So it's so for the first time, I'm on W-2. So that's why I have a question for Dr. John. So I have a question in terms of, I'm used to having itemized things like my when you have your cleaners, like the clothes that you wear to work and things like that, and your mileage and all of that. So with your W-2, does that mean that doesn't count anymore? That's what I wanted to ask.
I would say generally, yes, it doesn't count, because you cannot, first of all, you cannot claim mileage for regular commute to your normal place of work. So you have your office, you go there every day, come back. You cannot then say, oh, I've done 20,000 miles driving to and from work, and therefore I have, nope, that doesn't come in with a W-2. And that's where I opened up by saying there that small businesses are the most tax efficient options if we actually do it right. Because if I am working for a company and that my regular place of job is, say, let me say Philadelphia, which is like 70 miles each way from my house, and I drive 140 miles a day, that's my regular commute, and nobody cares whether it was 70 miles or 7 miles. So when it comes to your W-2, there are not a lot of those things you can itemize. That said, you may realize that when you actually have things that you itemize, like charitable givings, other expenses that you put into normally put into your expense category, take them still take all those items to your CPA with your records. They'll run they run the numbers down, and then they say, okay, your total your itemized itemized items. Your itemized bill came up to $8,000, but the standard deduction is 14,000. So we'll ignore your paperwork. On the other hand, you give it to them, they do the itemization. You had like mortgage interest, you had things like tuitions that you paid for kids and all those good things. And all of a sudden, you itemize those bills and some of those interest charges, they come up to around $20,000. Then the CPA will use they'll elect to use itemized deductions rather than the standard deduction. So one way or the other, I always say go with as much information as possible. Let them look at it both ways and then determine which approach to take. Because if you don't go with anything, they would give a standard deduction.
So
and the
you
standard
mentioned
deduction
something
may
about
not cover you.
so you mentioned something about student tuition interest. Does that have to do with the student loans and parent plus loans?
They might, yeah, some of those ones I'll take those interests and ask the CPA, because again, I think if I remember properly, there may be there may be an income threshold. It's not the full loan that you're paying, but it's mainly the interest that they're looking at them, and just ask them, because that's why I was saying that this ideas now, you see, because if we didn't discuss, maybe that will count, but if you don't ask the question, you give away to charity, you give away to your churches, and they give you all those receipts. You take those ones and you add them, you could realize that at the end of the day, you may be better off doing that than just taking the standard deduction. But you did make one earlier comment. Anybody that is, and Dr. Pat said about it, anybody who is doing who's on a 1099 and you're making good income, please do your quarterly taxes, because if you don't file them quarterly when they run the taxes at the end of the year, and you owe the government above a certain amount of money, they're gonna slam you a big penalty. If they owe you, there's no problem. They don't give you interest on what they owe you. So doing your taxes on a quarterly basis helps, because it makes sure that you can plan accordingly.
Yeah. I'd like to read a comment from Brother Shaggy again. So he says, sorry, Sister Bridget, you could still do itemized deductions, but a lot of the expenses that works in the 1099 does not work for the W-2, which is what Brother John is just saying, because you're now an employee of the company, not an independent contractor. You are no longer on your own, baby. That's what he says here. Dr. John, you're on deck.
Applicable, that's right.
Exactly. The four charts: self-owned, then business and investor. Yeah.
It's exactly what Dr. John said. Keep good records and, get professional help if you need it. Because I'm telling you, it's the same here in the Canada. It's the same everywhere. I was running down what Dr. John just presented, which was phenomenal, by the way. I have some tax training from H&R Block and Primerica and everything, so I know these things. But the point is, the record keeping is what's going to trip you up. So if you got to do those good record keeping. Everything is worth something when it comes to these tax institutions. TRA is the same thing. As Dr. John just finished laughing a while ago, because he said, when they owe you, it's not a big deal. But if you owe them, then it's a whole different story. So, yeah. I don't see any questions here, Queen Tanla, and I don't see any hands raised either. So,
okay. Good conversation. That is, it's been Really good to hear the questions and the answers, and we all learned from it. And so thank you again. But this does not mean this is where we end with all the questions. Please continue send your questions in the chat. And even when we begin the Q&A section, do not hesitate, as you're still taking in the information, come up with your questions. Or if you have comments, share with us some of your comments. Or when in doubt, ask.
Absolutely.
We are here. All your questions will be answered. So thank you. At this point, if we don't have any of our leaders that has anything to add, then I'll pass it now to Dr. Pat so we can close the YouTube and then dive into Q&D. Over to you, Dr. Pat.
Wow. Thank you all for very, very insightful questions. Thank you to all the presenters. Thank you, Queen Yvonne, especially in the period here in our land here in the USA that we are living in. I feel like compassion is not one of the things in our top list. So please, you don't know who you're dealing, what the people you're meeting, what they're dealing with. So show compassion, show love, show kindness. That might just be the light in their darkness. And thank you for this financial mindset. Thank you all for your questions. Every time we learn something, please, if you in doubt, use a specialist to file your taxes. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. All right. Having said that, I want to thank our Sister Rose Matip, that is in the YouTube, our moderator in the YouTube. Thank you, Sister Rose, for being there every week. We see what you do. You're not yet with your face here with us, but we know you're there with the Dream Team. That's one of the Dream Team leaders. So for the people in YouTube, thank you for coming. If you're any group that you have access to the Zoom, you want to join us on Zoom for the last part, you're welcome. But don't forget to keep our mind going. We have sister platform that we kind of recommend people to attend because they talk about the mind. The mind is very important. On Monday, we have Queen Miriam doing Monday Mindset with Queen Miriam at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have JW and Queen Tinesha and a lot of other folks that do the mind. And that is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Tuesday, we have our First Lady, Queen Dr. Benny, which is also here with us, teaching us how to keep safe in the internet. And we have Thursday, we have a variety of speaker talking about our health and everything. So please join them. Wednesday, Pierre Empowering Humanity, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join her. You can join the team. Then and Thursday, 8 p.m. No, a.m. now. 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is 8 a.m. now because the time changed. Join all passion. Oh my goodness. If you have no passion, have no vision, have no dream, and if you go to that platform and you come the same, I don't know, you need Jesus. Please join them. They're inside your mind to have passion. Please, I'm telling you, I'm not joking. Join them if you can. Then Monday through Friday, we have our Queen Sister Yvonne here with the double Yvonnes. They are running Empowering One movement at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday. Please join the sister platform. Get excited, get educated, and get your mind in the right place. Basically, it's mind for every part, spiritual, physical, financial, every part of your mind is being nurtured through this platform. So join there if you can. And for those on YouTube, thank you for watching. And we'll see you next week, Sunday, here in the Dream Team, 12:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I think Dr. John is doing a series with O Passion every Thursday for the next 3 months. I think it was a 4-month commitment. She's done January. If you can join him and learn more on your finances, please do so. We'll see you all next week. Dr. D, let us know when YouTube is over, and then we can take more questions and people can ask what they want. If not, the Dream Team leaders or coordinator, you know what to do. Thank you.
1 minute, Sister. Brother Shaggy has a question here. I think it's very thought-provoking. He says, do you guys have another job but on passive? Or am I the only one who's busy? Laugh out loud.
Dr. Shaggy, that's why you variety, so you can go in any of these ones, okay? You don't have to go. So people have options. There's no reason for you not to be engaged. The option at different time of the day, different time of the week for you to join. Right.
Thanks, sister.
Thank you. We have a J job while we're waiting for Unpassed. It's okay. Join them and if you can. That's why I say if you can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Shaggy.
Thank you, my sister. God bless.
All right.